New York City, the city that never sleeps. Taxis honked, people rushed to work, coffee cups in hand, and the smell of fresh bagels filled the crisp morning air. Inside a small café tucked between two skyscrapers sat William Bradford, one of the richest men in America. A billionaire. The kind of man whose name was printed in Forbes every other month. But today, William didn't feel powerful. He sat quietly at a corner table, staring into his black coffee, lost in thoughts heavier than his fortune. William Bradford had everything: mansions, cars, private jets, and an empire that spanned continents. But what he didn't have was peace. Since his wife passed away 3 years ago, his billion-dollar empire had begun to feel like a burden. Every morning, he woke up to silence. Every night, he fell asleep to the echo of loneliness. That morning, he looked out the cafe window and saw construction workers laughing, a young couple sharing a muffin, and a mother holding her child's hand as they crossed the street. He sighed softly. They have so little, he thought, and yet, they seem so happy. The declined card. When he finished his coffee, William reached into his wallet and handed the cashier his black credit card. The cashier swiped it once. Then again. Cashier, I'm sorry, sir. It says declined. William frowned. That's not possible. Try again. She did, same result. People in line began to notice. A few whispered. One man chuckled quietly, guess even billionaires go broke sometimes. William felt heat rise in his face. Run it again, he said, forcing a smile. The cashier tried a fourth time, declined. Now everyone was watching. William pulled out another card. Here, this one will work. It didn't. Sir, the cashier said nervously, maybe call your bank. He grabbed his phone, but the banking app wouldn't log in. His accounts were temporarily frozen because of a reported breach. He closed his eyes, humiliated. The mighty billionaire couldn't pay for a $4 coffee. He muttered, forget it. I'll come back later. And that's when he heard a soft little voice behind him. The little girl. I can pay for your coffee, mister. Everyone turned. Standing there was a tiny girl, maybe 7 years old, wearing worn-out shoes and a faded pink hoodie. Her hair was messy, and her hands were clutching a few crumpled dollar bills and some coins. The cafe went silent. William blinked in disbelief. You don't have to do that, sweetheart. The girl smiled shyly. It's okay. You look sad. My mommy says when someone's in trouble, we help. The cashier hesitated. Sweetie, you don't have to. But the girl pushed the money forward. Please, I want to. She handed over exactly $3.25, every coin she had, and said proudly, there. Now you can have your coffee. People in the cafe started smiling. Someone whispered, that's the sweetest thing I've ever seen. William stood frozen, his throat tightening. No one had done something genuinely kind for him in years, especially not a stranger, and especially not a child with so little. He knelt down to her level. Thank you, he said softly. What's your name? Lily, she replied with a grin. Well, Lily, he said, smiling, you just bought a billionaire a cup of coffee. She giggled. You're welcome, Mr. Billionaire. Later that day, William couldn't get Lily out of his mind. He kept thinking about that innocent smile, those small hands offering him everything she had. He called his bank, and yes, there had been a technical issue. All his accounts were fine. But the thought lingered, what kind of world lets a child like Lily feel she has to help a grown man? The next morning, William asked his driver to take him to the shelter mentioned on Lily's hoodie. It was a local homeless shelter near Brooklyn. Inside, he saw Lily coloring on the floor with other kids. Her mother sat nearby, thin and pale, reading an old book. William approached her gently. Excuse me, are you Lily's mom? She looked up, startled. Yes. Is she in trouble? He smiled warmly. No, ma'am. Quite the opposite. She's my little hero. The woman frowned in confusion. Hero. She bought me a cup of coffee yesterday. And she taught me more about kindness than all my business meetings combined. Tears welled in the woman's eyes. Oh, Lily, always trying to help. Even when we have nothing. William sat with them for a while, listening. Her name was Angela. She'd lost her husband 2 years ago in an accident, then her job, then their home. Since then, she'd been trying to find work while taking care of Lily. When she coughed, Lily ran to get her water. Mommy's been sick, she whispered to William. But she says we'll be okay soon. William's heart ached. The next day, William returned to the shelter, this time, holding a small envelope. He handed it to Angela. Inside were the keys to a modest apartment, a prepaid lease for a year, and a job offer for her at one of his company's offices. Angela stared in shock. I don't understand. William smiled. You helped me yesterday, through your daughter. I just want to return the favor. Her voice shook. Why would you do this for us? He looked at Lily, who was busy drawing a heart on the table with crayons. Because yesterday, he said softly, your daughter reminded me what real wealth is. Angela covered her face, tears streaming down. God bless you, sir. William gently patted Lily's head. And you, young lady, he said, smiling, you changed my life. A week later, someone posted a photo online, the moment Lily had handed over her wrinkled bills to the billionaire at the café. The caption read, greater than, a little girl pays for a man whose card got declined, turns out, he's a billionaire. Within hours, the story went viral. News stations covered it. Reporters called it, the coffee kindness story. People everywhere shared it as a reminder that no act of kindness is too small. When a reporter asked William for a comment, he simply said, she gave me more than coffee. She gave me perspective. 1 year later, the same cafe was buzzing again, but this time, for a different reason. A new item had been added to the menu, Lily's latte. All proceeds went to a new charity, the Lily Foundation, started by William to help homeless children and struggling single parents. Lily and her mother, now healthy and happy, were special guests that day. Angela now managed community outreach for the foundation. She was glowing, proud, confident, and finally at peace. William bent down to Lily's level. So, Miss Lily, he said playfully, what do you want to be when you grow up? She giggled. I want to help people, just like you. He laughed. You already did, sweetheart. You helped more people than you'll ever know. They raised their cups together, smiling. As the day ended, William looked out the same cafe window where it all began. He thought about the irony. A billionaire's card had failed. But a child's heart had succeeded. He whispered to himself, money can run out. Cards can decline. But kindness, that never does. So, the next time you see someone struggling, remember Lily. Because sometimes, the smallest hands make the biggest difference. And maybe, just maybe, the richest people aren't the ones with the most money, but the ones who give without expecting anything in return. Moral of the story. Greater than true wealth isn't about what's in your bank account, it's about what's in your heart.